What's going on, everyone? Mr. Octagonal here. Now today we are going to be rebuilding the Kawhi Leonard-led Los Angeles Clippers. Of course, free agency does start tomorrow. Kawhi very well could become an LA Clipper, and I figured while I had the chance to mention it, I will be going away this week. Expect uploads to be normal, but I've been doing a lot of pre-recording, and I am considering doing like a live stream reactions tomorrow at like 6 Eastern when free agency starts, but we'll see. So, looking at the roster, the free agency had pretty much everyone in there, so all the free agents are going to sign one-year contracts to random teams. Like, I think KD signed with the Magic, for example, but we signed Kawhi to a multi-year deal because that's obviously what he's going to be getting in real life. And then looking at the roster, a few talented building blocks, guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Landry Shamet, Montrezl Harrell. Lou Williams is a solid player, so is Danilo Gallinari. And then first-round rookie, Mfiondu Kabengele. Whenever you put his first name into the game thinks it's inappropriate. I don't know why, so there's an E there instead of an I. And other than that, not too many solid building blocks down here. Maybe Terrence Mann can become a good player. So for the sake of realism, I wanted to first of all sign Ivica Zubac. He is restricted. I assume the Clippers will bring him back, as they probably should. And then I decided not to make any moves. I just want to see what this team can do on their own with Kawhi Leonard, Gallo, the small ball 4, keeping Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell off the bench just like last season. So Montrezl Harrell wins 6th Man of the Year, even though he was the 7th man. Fix your game, 2K. Anyway, looking at Kawhi Leonard's stats, he made All-NBA 3rd team. Note, I believe Ja Morant made All-NBA 2nd team, and then Zion made All-3rd team, so that's funny. And we end up as the 3 seed without making any moves, which is pretty crazy. Looking at the stats, very good year for Kawhi Leonard. Gallo was pretty solid. Lou Will, solid 16 points. Harrell, not too shabby. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Landry Shamet were both pretty decent as well. So in the first round, we ended up taking on the Phoenix Suns. They signed Kristaps Porzingis. Obviously, in real life, he's going to go back to the Dallas Mavericks. However, since the roster is set up this way, I'm not going to fault the person who made the roster this way. They worked really hard on it. So, taking on the Suns here in round 1, light work, we win in 5. And then taking on the Utah Jazz in round 2. As you can see, Jazz and Kings, 2 versus 7 seed. That sound familiar? Anyway, the Utah Jazz added Willie Cauley-Stein. That's about it. So I'm a little bit surprised that Willie Cauley-Stein is the only person that makes them a 2 seed. Speaking of Willie Cauley-Stein, his agent actually said that he wants Willie to leave Sacramento. So I forgot to save the clip, but unfortunately we ended up losing in 7 games. And then sure enough, the Boston Celtics beat the Utah Jazz in the finals. The Celtics didn't sign anyone, which is funny. Jason Tatum wins finals MVP, of course. Kemba Walker has been linked to the Boston Celtics. And I kind of want to see Kemba stick around, but at the same time, I want Devontae Graham to start at point guard. And then looking at the draft lottery, unfortunately, we don't have any high picks. The Brooklyn Nets get the first pick, which is funny because they're going to be signing a bunch of people tomorrow. And then the first pick ends up being LaMelo Ball. With our picks, we get Tyshawn Alexander from Creighton and a European kid, Malcolm Cazalan. So those guys could be good building blocks or good trade pieces. So since everyone signed 1-year contracts, this is this year's free agency class other than Kawhi Leonard, and then next year's free agency class too. And this year's class is a lot better, but there are guys like D'Angelo Russell, Kristaps Porzingis who are now unrestricted. And speaking of D'Angelo Russell, we are going to sign him. Could have got Jimmy Butler, but I ended up choosing D'Lo. And then the Hawks signed Kyrie. So that meant that Trae Young would be available. So we're trading Lou Will and Tyshawn Alexander to get him. So welcome aboard, Trae Young. He's always someone who does very well in 2K. And then bringing back Montrezl Harrell. I don't feel comfortable with paying him that much money, but he is someone who I wanted to bring back. And then I wanted to trade D'Lo to get some cap space. We're getting RJ Barrett and Dennis Smith from the Knicks. Also having to trade Terrence Mann. Not too big of a loss. And then Dennis Smith, we don't really need him because we have Shai Gilgeous and Trae Young. So we're going to be going and getting Kevin Knox from the Knicks. So DSJ returns to New York. Jerome Robinson also there as well. So looking at the lineup, Trae Young, RJ Barrett, Kawhi Leonard, Mfiondu Kabengele, and Montrezl Harrell. This team is very different. Kawhi Leonard, All-NBA 2nd team. He had another really good year. Super efficient. And then looking at the stats, RJ Barrett, 19.5 points. Montrezl Harrell was good. Want to get Trae Young more touches. I think he could have done a little bit better. Knox, Kabengele, Gilgeous-Alexander, and Shamet were all pretty solid as well. So we actually got worse somehow. We went to the 6th seed. That doesn't really make sense. I guess all the free agents signed to the West. And then we're going to be taking on the Rockets in the first round. Other than Paul and Harden, this team looks very different as they added Draymond Green, which is pretty funny. The only players they kept other than that big two was like Eric Gordon and Gary Clark. So we win Game 1 on the road and Game 2. Quite the start. And here comes the Rockets. They storm back. Now up 3-2, but we force it to a Game 7, and we end up getting the win. Once again, taking on the Utah Jazz, who are still this 2 seed. They're a pretty similar team. They didn't do much. They only added Kevin Durant. That's about it. They also added Domantas Sabonis and John Henson, so a bunch of centers, but pretty much the same team we lost to, but with Kevin Durant. So that is kind of scary now that they have K. Dizzle, and they are definitely killing us. 2-1 right now 3-1. Can the Jazz choke a 3-1 lead? They sure don't. Utah wins in 5, and then the 76ers beat the Utah Jazz in the NBA Finals. Ben Simmons, Finals MVP, almost averaging a triple-double. Still no 3-point attempts. And then we agree to a trade with the Chicago Bulls as we wanted the number 1 overall pick. We're trading Cazalan, Davidas, Servitas, who I signed in free agency, a couple future picks, including, I think, pick 18 and pick 30 this year, but that's definitely worth it. And then there's no legit number 1 guy in this class, so I figured why not trade down, get pick 4 in Trendon Watford. Pick 1 to 4 isn't really that much of a difference in this class, and then getting Trendon Watford, I think, is a big deal. And then same thing from pick 4 to pick 6, adding a future first-round pick. With pick 6, we got Isaiah Todd, and then with the 18th pick of the second round, we got Keon Brooks Jr. So with free agency here, we need cap space, and we're trading Montrezl Harrell for a pair of future first-round picks from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Wanted to keep him around. I really like him, but need the money. And then Kevin Knox and a few other guys will get us Scotty Lewis, I believe, and then a future first-round pick. And then Trendon Watford will get us a first-round pick from the Lakers. As you can see, during the offseason, this is my strategy. Trade all the non-important guys for draft picks, and then eventually trade all those draft picks for stars. Same thing with Scotty Lewis, getting a pair of future first-round picks as well. And then in free agency, we got our top target, Bradley Beal. I also went after Tatum and Mitchell, but they both went back to their usual teams. That's what I was expecting, and my main goal was Bradley Beal, and that's what I got, so I'm happy with how it all ended up, and Bradley Beal is now a Clipper for now, as we're going to agree to a deal with the Toronto Raptors, sending Isaiah Todd and some picks for Pascal Siakam. Wanted to get an upgrade, and Pascal Siakam is certainly that. And then we're going to acquire Ja Morant from the Grizzlies. He's been insane in this simulation, or I'm tempted to acquire Ja Morant. I decided not to. We're going with Bagley and De'Aaron Fox from the Kings instead, trading Bradley Beal and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Wanted to get an upgrade at backup point guard, and then Beal's making a lot of money. Just want to prepare for the future for next offseason. So here's a look at the squad, adding Spicy P, Marvin Bagley, and De'Aaron Fox. And at the end of the year, Kawhi Leonard, another very good year. R.J. Barrett was good. Trae Young, solid. Spicy P, Bagley, Fox, Shamet, all those guys were pretty solid, along with Kabengele. So, going to be taking on the Warriors. We ended up as the 7th seed somehow. I don't know why we're getting worse each year. And this Golden State team has Steph Curry, and their next best player is Derek Favors. So we should be able to beat them. And so far, looking good so far. It's now 2-1. Now 3-1. Don't choke a 3-1 lead against the Golden State Warriors. That wouldn't be too good. And we ended up choking a 3-1 lead against the Golden State Warriors. There you go. That's fun. And then the Utah Jazz end up winning the finals. Donovan Mitchell, finals MVP over the Sneck. So, on to the draft. We have the 12th and 29th picks. We got Michael Foster, Keon Edwards, and then with our second, Len Shurman. Both of those first-rounders are really solid value, in my opinion. So, on to free agency. Rarely do I ever see Steph Curry in here, and I wanted to take the opportunity. So, it's time to trade all of our cap space away. De'Aaron Fox will get us Ochai Agbaji, go Jayhawks, and a future first-round pick. And then Ja Morant, he's been insane in this. We're trading Pascal Siakam basically for him. And then I traded Ja Morant right away because we need all the money we can get. Going to get Nico Mannion and a first-round pick from the Chicago Bulls. So basically, Pascal Siakam for Mannion in a first-rounder. And then Fiondu Kabengele will get his 4 draft picks from the Golden State Warriors, all first-rounders. Want to give them more cap space, so it's less likely they are able to sign Steph Curry. And sure enough, he still wants to go to Golden State, even though we are offering him way more money. He just wants to stay in Golden State. So instead of Steph Curry, we're going to get Steph Curry with a 40-inch vertical. That's right, we're signing Lonzo Ball. And then we also had a few restricted guys, Trae Young, Marvin Bagley, Landry Shamet. We brought all of them back. So we sort of need a center. Marvin Bagley's pretty undersized. So we trade Ochai Agbaji, Nico Mannion, and 4 first-rounders for DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton's done very well developing in this rebuild. And then we need a backup center. So we're going to get Mo Bamba for 4 first-round picks and a few other guys. And then agreeing to a trade with the Chicago Bulls. We traded Ja Morant to the Bulls, and I kind of wanted him. So Lonzo Ball, 2 first-rounders, and Michael Foster. I feel like that's a lot, but I kind of wanted Ja Morant. So the starting lineup for 4th and final season, Morant, RJ, Kawhi, Bagley, and Ayton, and then Trae Young, Mo Bamba, and Landry Shamet coming off the bench. Shamet, the only original Clipper, if you not count Kawhi. So Kawhi with another very good year. I think he made All-NBA first team. Barrett, Morant, Ayton, all had really nice years. Bagley was pretty good. Trae, like to see more. Shamet, only 6 points a game, but he doesn't get too many minutes. And then Mo Bamba also didn't get a lot of minutes. So taking on the Timberwolves here in round 1, they added Jamal Murray. Also still have Cat and Jarrett Culver. It looks like Andrew Wiggins is gone. So once again, the clip didn't show, but we lost. We ended up losing in 7 games. We did not get out of the second round once in this rebuild, and we can't really go any further. This team is a super team, but we didn't get out of the second round. 2K baffles me sometimes. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know the next rebuild we should do.
I'm a Barbie girl in the